which we can then circulate to all the students for their adoption. So this could be a small work that some of you can join hands. You can volunteer, make a group, and develop some guidelines, processes, methods. What are the precautions to be taken so that we don't put everything in the drain and that goes into the sewage, and then the AMR problem, which is so serious, gets generated. And as one of you mentioned, if we don't do, I think her name was Sargam, what's her name? Who mentioned, one of you mentioned that if we are not, Shilpa, did you mention that? One of you mentioned, there was a lady, Sangeeta, I think. Sangeeta is there? Sangeeta, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So did you mention this point?
Yes, sir.
So I was thinking that why don't you take lead, Sangeeta, and make a group, maybe 25, 30, 40, whatever number of volunteers are willing to work with you, make a subgroup. And this can be even a small project of yours, which will develop guidelines for disposal of waste, not just for the lab, but even for other colleges, other groups. So these guidelines could go to all the biological science and other colleges. I would say engineering colleges. We have a network of 7,500 colleges. We can also send it to them so that whatever waste is produced in any lab, in any part of the country, in any college, is disposed with responsibility. So I think that was a good point. Of course, we had heard yesterday about Kashmir, the Dal Lake aquatic weed, which is a problem in Hyderabad also, Osmania and other lakes. All over the country, this problem is there. There is one innovator in Andhra who had developed a machine to remove the weeds, but it can only do it at the shore and requires heavy investment. So if there are more cost-effective ways, that would be useful. So I would suggest, before we go through these ideas, that some of you have said, I can't think about anything. Well, think hard, think hard. There is so many problems in society at large. I'm sure you can think about them. So I'm not going to accept that there is someone who will not be able to find them. It doesn't matter if you couldn't find yesterday, try today. But do find. Some of you have mentioned very general problems. Water quality, air quality. These are problems, of course, but make it specific. Make it very specific so that a particular kind of water problem to which you can try to solve. Or your colleagues in NCL and other labs can join hands. You can even make groups across the lab for solving some of these problems. So what I would suggest today is that before we have you to talk about these, please appreciate that these needs that we are still focusing on. How do we identify this need? That's what we are going to work on today. How do we ensure that a very large need, say air pollution, it can be divided into subcomponents? So one of you mentioned an interesting dimension that if we are entering a very high pollution zone, let's say, I'm just paraphrasing that idea, can I get an alarm about the air quality? That look, here is a high pollution zone. The concerned colleague can mention whether they had something else in mind. But I interpret it in this manner, that if there is you are entering a high air pollution zone, then there should be an alarm which indicates. Is that the point you had in mind? The one who mentioned this? Air pollution signal, what was that? Will somebody speak up who had mentioned this point?
Good evening, sir. My name is Priyanka. Sir, can you repeat what you were talking about waste management? I think I missed it. I just joined.
So there was, let me tell the name. I think Sangeeta said it. Let me just find out. Where is the search? So there was a question that was asked as to whether the waste in the lab, and she said that if we can't be responsible for disposing waste in our own lab, how can we tell the other part of the world and the rest of the country to be responsible for disposing the waste of the lab properly. So what I'm suggesting is that if this is a problem in large number of labs where we do not follow the proper guidelines for disposing waste of the lab, whether microbial waste or other waste, then it is better that we make a group and develop some guidelines, which we hope voluntarily people will follow. And this was, and they will then, hopefully, we will circulate to other labs, other part of the country. And Sangeeta is the one, right? That's what CSIR-NIIST. And this is something she felt that most of the labs are ignoring, which is not good. So I think this is what the point was. You want to add something to that? Did you want to add something? There are many other issues. I have picked up a few, but I will not immediately start mentioning those. I would leave it to you. But it is very clear that some of you have mentioned very broad issues. My request to you is to make it more specific, and that will make it solvable. Otherwise, how will we solve? It will become very difficult to solve. So we really need to find the way to solve this problem, and this solution will require decomposing the problem into solvable part. So air pollution is a very big macro problem, a global problem. All of us are involved in it. But that is not something that I and you can solve, but we can develop instruments by which we can measure it better. We can develop instruments by which we can get a signal when we are entering a high pollution zone. And we can also measure the effect of it on our health, which a lot of research has been done. And we can develop better ways of avoiding inhalation. So for example, one fellow in Andhra Pradesh was grassroots innovator, and one fellow from IIT Delhi later on developed nose filters. So grassroots innovator did that for the policemen, because they stand at the crossroad and a lot of traffic is there, a lot of pollution is there. The whole day they spend there. So idea was to put nose filters, which will help you to prevent a lot of inhalation of a lot of contaminants. Great idea, isn't it? So that was you can't solve the entire problem, but you can insulate yourself from the consequence of a large problem. That was good thought, actually. So please divide the problem into specific element. Don't go into too general. That would be not very helpful because it would not help us to solve. Do you want to see the list? I can share the list link with you. Yes, and let me share the link. So any one of you who wants to see the ideas that you have put and that others have put can go to this chat. Can go to the, yes. So I put the link of the spreadsheet on the chat. You can find it. If you open it, you will find ideas of everybody. Yeah, including your own if you have put it. And you will notice that some I have colored with different shades of color, indicating in my sense which were more important, less important, and little less. I may have missed some, but that's possible. But you have a sheet with all of you. And those who have not yet put, are you going to put today? Those who have not put, will you add the unmet needs? And those who have put very general, can you make it more specific tonight? Is it possible?
Yes, sir.
So kindly make it more specific. Something which is solvable, something which you think you can do something about. And if you cannot do, you can try to contact students from the concerned lab and take their advice. Look, for example, one of you had mentioned ultrasonic repellent for bees when you collect honey. Now, instead of using smoke, which also kills some of the honey, which is a non-violent method, an interesting method. So, all right, this is, I think the concerned colleague may feel that it is doable. Who had mentioned this? Navi?
Sir, actually, I mentioned, sir, hello, am I
Yeah, go
audible,
ahead.
sir?
Yeah, you
Am I
are.
Sir, actually, I mentioned that bee repellent idea. So instead of smoke, we can use
Right.
that some ultrasonic.
But
So,
can you make it?
so
Well, the ultrasonic wave, because you have to talk to the electronics people
yeah,
and check
yes,
with
sir.
them what wavelength will be useful, which is not harming the human beings, but
Okay.
can affect, because insects can hear much feeble signals than our ears.
Yes, sir.
That
Yes.
is how they communicate. That is how they can communicate with each other.
Yes,
So
sir.
it might be a good idea to at least develop a proof of concept and then test
Okay.
it out. A
But
non-violent system is always preferable.
actually, sir, we made already a group in our lab. So they decided some project, but sir, I think if I want to do this project, then I have to need some people who can work with me. So
Yeah, so you put a request on the chat and you will get some volunteers. I'm absolutely sure about. Just put down on the chat what kind of experts do you need. Somebody from Sumit from NPL might help you, or somebody else might help you. Just put a request and see how people will help you. This is what we want to prove: collaborative innovation, collaborative creativity. We often try to do things alone, and that's why our impact is not that high. But when we work together, our impact can increase manifold, isn't it?
sir, is it necessary that so we need to form 3 to 5 people group, or only 2 people can work?
No, you
Actually,
can sometimes, if you think that there are multiple skills required, you can make the group larger. That's not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, that's possible.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Well, significance, Ramapriya, is that for me, for my own reference, I made a list and I was giving some which were very light colored, probably needed more detail or were important, but probably less. And the darker one or the orange one were the ones that I thought were more important, relatively speaking to me. But that's my judgment. It may vary from yours, and I think I will go by your judgment. If you think a particular problem is very important, specify it and make a group. Now, please remember that these unmet needs may or may not become your final project. So you have to all write a synopsis, which you will present in the end of the course, synopsis of your project under this program. And that project, for completion of the project, you will get long time. I mean, you will get many more weeks. You don't have to finish by the end of this course. But it is useful if you start thinking about the project that you want to work on. In a few cases, if the problem that you identified has a social impact and you want to work on it, by all means, that can be your project as well. So the choice is yours. I will leave it to you. But don't take up a project which is something that you would do in the lab anyway. There is no point in adding such a project. Because that is the work which lab does, and under this course, why should we address those problems that anyway lab is doing? Those problems which are likely to be neglected, which may be ignored, which may not come on the radar, which may not get the proper weightage because they affect people who are not able to put enough pressure on us or who are not able to articulate their need. Those problems which affect the poor people should get priority. Is that clear? So I have mentioned two things now. One, I would like
Hello,
to...
sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, myself Sangeeta.
Yes.
Sir, you have called my name sometime before. I couldn't hear that due to some issue. Now my friend told that you have mentioned.
Yes, I called your name because you had raised a very important problem. It was about the waste in the lab, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
I thought that if you and some other friends can join you and work with you to develop some guidelines, some norms about different kind of waste. It could be biochemical, it could be microbiological, it could be mechanical, it could be ceramic, it could be different kinds of waste in different labs. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And then these guidelines can be circulated to all the colleges outside of CSIR as well, to all the IITs, colleges. There is a huge impact that is likely to happen, even if 20-30% people start following these guidelines. The assumption here
Yes.
is, Sangeeta, that many people
Yes.
don't do the right thing, not because they don't want to do it, because they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. So the
Yes, sir.
guidelines will have, Kunal, can you switch off your mic? Kunal, can you switch off your
Hello,
mic?
hello, sir.
Ah,
Hello,
bolo, bolo.
sir. One more problem I have seen,
Just wait,
sir.
just 1 minute. Is it about what Sangeeta is talking about? Same problem or something different?
No, sir. Different, sir.
Then wait, just wait. Let Sangeeta complete. So Sangeeta, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was hearing you.
So take an initiative, be ambitious,
Okay.
get people from different disciplines together,
Yes,
and
sir.
then these guidelines we can circulate to the entire class. All the students can comment on it and
Okay,
make
sir.
it better. And this can be an impact of this batch on the entire waste disposal in labs, public and private system, all colleges, wherever. Now, these guidelines should be such that can be implemented easily and are keeping the environment safe and do not aggravate the problem of antimicrobial resistance. You understand?
Okay, sir.
AMR is a big problem because of our negligence, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So
This is
I
a
completely
very much
empathize with
problem.
your issue. Yes, I think it is very important, and take some initiative.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir. We'll
Yes,
try, sir.
Kunal. Kunal, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm Kunal from CMARI, Durgapur.
Yes.
Sir, I would like to, sir, I would like to say that once upon a time I have seen some schoolboy made a project on the related farmers. When farmers do their work in rural India, in paddy field, in rainy season, lots of farmers died due to thundering. Okay, so that schoolboy made a project which resists the thundering in the paddy field during rainy season. What is the significance of this, sir? Please, I want your suggestion, sir.
Can you repeat the last point?
Lots of farmers in every year in India died due to thundering in rainy season. Lightning, thundering. Okay, so one schoolboy made a project because of on this topic, and he made some device which protects farmers from thundering, excess lightning or excess thundering.
And what
okay,
is,
so
how do you
tell me,
I don't know. I've not seen that project, but I'm assuming that general precaution is that if areas which are prone to more lightning, if you install the lightning trap on the top of the tree or something like that, and then put it in the earth. I mean, as we all know what the system is, that is the basic system, that if you get it trapped by antennas kind of a mechanism on the top of the high rise tree or something, then the nearby regions can be saved. People can be saved. And there are some regions which receive more lightning strikes than others. But if this fellow has done something else, we should study that and certainly look at it.
Okay.
This is the problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Now let's look at somebody else. You can go ahead. There are many people who have talked about water filter, but nobody has mentioned specific kinds of water problem. If you remember, I mentioned to you about Dhimaji, which is not too far from the lab NIST Jorat. It is in Dhimaji, is in Assam, as you know. And if you can think about a problem, a filter for high iron rich water. Similarly, there are problems for fluoride, there are problems for other kinds of contaminants. So we should if we take up this problem, because we had to show the answer there, and we realized that this problem must be solved, and it has not been solved till date. They do have sand filters. So I would suggest that all those who have mentioned water filter problem, can you discuss and sharpen your definition of the water problem? Which kind of contaminants, microbial, somebody will like to focus on microbial, somebody may like to focus on mineral, somebody will like to focus on both. I want to give you an example of a high quality research. I don't know how many of you have heard that this work, but this is one of very good example of high quality research. Did I mention about what MIT engineers have done? Did I mention this example in the class earlier? Did I or did I not? Anybody?
No, sir.
All right. So I'm going to show you this. And a student of Indian origin under Dr. Rohit Karnik, professor of mechanical engineering. The student's name was Kritika Ramchandra. Let me show it to you because this is an example which I'm very fond of. Dr. Sanjay Sharma introduced me to his lab once when I was visiting MIT for a lecture. And this is the one. So this is a technology of last year. And what did they do? They took the pine wood. You know, trees have two parts, phloem and xylem. One which takes water up, nutrient up, one which brings it down. So they used this wood. This lady used this wood, xylem which draws water up through the tree trunk. And xylem conduits are interconnected with thin membrane that acts as a natural sieve. And they used low-tech design for high impact. It even filters the bacteria. So they have advanced the technology. They have fabricated a new xylem filter that can filter out pathogens like E. coli, rotavirus. And of course, it can remove the bacteria and all of that. Paper was published in Nature Communications. Please understand. So when you work on something which is simple, it doesn't mean that you cannot publish in top journals. You can. And this work was published in top journal. And this filter is affordable. The raw materials are widely available. You can see this screen of mine, isn't it? All of you are able to see?
Yes.
You're able to see my
Yes,
screen?
yes.
So I'm turning the page and
Yes,
just to
sir.
show you, Kritika Ramchandran, Luda Wong, Megha Hegde, Anish Anthony, Kendra Lee, Amy Smith, there. And she's the girl. And she tested it in Indian slums and showed them how this will filter. What did she do? In a tube, she just inserted pine wood, xylem part of the wood. That's it. And it will clear. The filters also appear to self-block over time, building up the body matter that clogs the conduit. And they could remove it very simply, just dipping them in ethanol and let them dry. And that was the way it cleaned up. So they have, if you want to see that, let me see if you can see the video. Are you able to see the video?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's a high quality, high tech with very low cost, very simple tech solution. So xylemfilter.com, you can go to that and get the entire, it's an open source technology. Please understand, it is an open source technology. It removes 99% of contaminants for diarrheal disease and other things. 2-star comprehensive protection by WHO standards. They have not yet looked for the arsenic and other fluoride problem. But they have solved this problem and worked with the local NGO, Hindmatan Society, Shram Yog, People Science Institute in Dehradun, Smart, and they told local people to fabricate these filters, use them, and showed them. And from 1,000 potential users, they got the data of trial, they tested it. Water flows down a meter-long tube through a xylem filter, out through a valve-controlled spout, and it can be cleaned every daily or weekly, depending upon the household need. And they are producing these filters at large scale with locally available. They want to do that. Inexpensive, abundantly available material. Can you imagine? And this is the solution. This is the solution that you have to see. So you can now see that very high quality research led to very low cost, low tech solution for a very complex problem and solved it. I really challenge you all. You may not be able to do all the tests that are required, but think of using your scientific acumen, using your caliber, using your talent, using your genius, using your enormously rich scholarship to think laterally and find out sometime from nature and sometime from the prior work how we could use properties of natural materials, if possible, and solve complex problems. So all those who have mentioned water, can you all discuss together and make your problem more precise, please? Is it possible? I'm sharing it here. Is it possible? All those who mentioned water, and you know many of you have mentioned water, can you discuss this? Can you amplify your problem? Can you articulate your problem with little more precision, with more sharpness, and then think of joining hands with others who could help you if you don't have the idea about how to solve it, and develop maybe a modular water filter, a filter which can have some changes in their composition of materials and be used in regions of different degree of contamination of different kinds. It need not solve all problems. As they have very clearly mentioned, they have not looked at what effect this filter has on arsenic or fluoride, but they have measured what it has on bacteria, E. coli and rotavirus. Rotavirus, not just bacteria, but viruses, which are very, very small size particles. Yes, you can look at groundwater, you can look at river water, you can look at stream water in the mountain, whichever you do. There is a contamination almost everywhere because animals go for grazing in the hills. And when they go for grazing, their excreta, which has E. coli, gets washed by the rain into the streams. So while water looks clean, it is not, it has bacteria. Then, of course, there are other sources from where the E. coli comes and other viruses come. So there are many sources of contamination. You have mentioned, some of you have mentioned that. So this is an example.
Can I make a point here?
Yeah, please go ahead.
The area we lived, there is a Divi's lab actually, where they usually used to contaminate the groundwater, the pollution which comes from the that industry.
Yes.
Polluted the entire area water, underground water actually. This
Yes.
is most significant problem if we see in the perspective of companies actually. They do
Correct,
a lot of
correct,
pollution.
Correct.
And the local solutions are that people used to buy these mineral water and all, but no, there are not local solutions which could effectively work on this actually.
You're absolutely right. There are many industries which unfortunately do something very heinous, which is they drill bores in the ground and put their effluent in those bores. So they are contaminating groundwater, and future generation, when they will open well and dig well or dig bore, and when they will find black material there coming out, they will wonder, how did it come out? How did it reach there? They would not imagine maybe, or maybe they will imagine that there was a generation in between which was so responsible that it spoiled the choices of future generation. So surely this is very important, but it will be very useful, Neeraj, if you, Manjunath, and a few others can do brainstorming, and anybody else who's interested in water filters, because this is a damn serious problem, and I really hope that we cannot get better students, better scholars than you in the country. So if you can join and make a list of different contaminants, look at different materials that are useful, low-cost materials, and then work out different ways in which these materials can be combined, blended, whatever. I remember there was a small NGO up in Odisha. They use charcoal and coconut frond. You know, when you peel the coconut, you get this fiber of which is used for various pith, and before pith comes the what you call coir. You know, so then that coir and the pith, both pith is that powder and the coir is that fiber, and then they also used charcoal and a few other materials, and were able to make very low cost filter. Now, I've not seen many filters which use cocoa pith, but in Kerala, you have huge mounds of cocoa pith, which is itself causing a pollution problem. So if we can use such materials which are available in abundance, we solve two problems with one solution. We take care of this waste and we are able to use it for very great purpose. But I just mentioned it. There was in Guatemala, I was told recently, I was talking to a friend in Pittsburgh, and he mentioned that they used colloidal silver embedded in husk of rice.
Opportunity for PhD students with kids school.
Bandana, but question is, in this course, we don't have that much time. So what we are thinking is that you are a great integrator. If you can do a prior art search, review of literature, look at solutions. I was mentioning you about this Guatemala solution. They have made an open source water filter, which is using colloidal silver, and they layer the inner surface of the clay vessel with the colloidal silver so that it doesn't allow algae to develop. So many times in the water filters, because of moisture, algae grows, and that affects the quality. So that's why they have done that. And it is a very simple water filter diffused widely in that country and many other countries. So I would suggest that you can review the water filters around available and then see which one is good and then go ahead with that. I mean, my only suggestion is that there is a library. How many of you know Engineers for Change? There is I was the founder member of this initiative of ASME, American Society for Mechanical Engineering, when it was conceived, and we designed some of the features. I'm putting this link here, engineersforchange.org. Yes, one of you raised hand. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. This is James Ebenezer from Central Electrochemical Research Institute, Karaikudi.
Yes.
Sir, in our case, we found lead content in water, which is being used in hotel.
Sorry, can you repeat?
The lead content, the increased lead content in water, the water is being used in hotel and hotel utilities.
Okay.
So the hotel, it also consumes more amount of egg. So we thought that egg contain more calcium. So calcium carbonate and both calcium oxide, it's a good adsorbent for lead. So what we are in thought means we can use that egg shell for the absorption of lead.
You've done some research on it?
Yes, sir. We done preliminary research using that egg shell. We found that Excel it absorbs water, but it needs to be converted from calcium carbonate to calcium oxide. So now we are in the research of absorbance of lead using calcium carbonate itself, because why we are converting calcium carbonate to calcium oxide, it emits carbon dioxide. So we restricted that step. Now we are in research of absorption of lead on calcium carbonate. But there is also some problem. The calcium carbonate itself soluble in water. So it increased the calcium content in water. For drinking water, the calcium content should be minimum amount, like 3 milligram like that. But calcium carbonate is soluble in water. So can you suggest anything in this case?
You know what happened? I'll give you a lateral answer, and maybe this can ignite your imagination. You can find the right answer. I'm not sure that I'm able to give you the very correct answer that you're looking for, but I want to share with you the answer that might work for you. I'm not sure, but I will try. And this is what happened. I was in BITS Pilani once, and the students who were presenting me some of the innovative projects that they had done. So I asked them, one group had done, they used a collagen layer separated from eggshell as water filter. Now, eggshell, as you know, is calcium carbonate, correct?
Sir.
Right, James?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It is the purest form of calcium carbonate, correct? Very
Yes,
pure.
sir. Yes, sir. You are right, sir.
And they wanted to take the collagen layer, but not calcium carbonate. So they dissolved it in a solvent. And the calcium carbonate settled down, and the layer of collagen floated on the surface, which is the inner layer of the eggshell. You get the point? And this layer was used as a water filter, which was very creative, I must say that. I was very impressed because nature has designed this collagen layer as one of the finest water filters for the life that gets formed in the egg, the chick that gets formed, fertilization, and that chick receives air. How would it receive air otherwise? Tell me. So there is a micropores that probably they are using, and that's how they come out with their life. So this is a layer of collagen from the, so you can look at how this filter, I mean the collagen layer from the eggshell, removing the calcium carbonate by dissolving it in solvent. I can find out the solvent, but probably any organic solvent will work for it. Any cheap solvent could be used, which is not contaminating, which is not toxic, which doesn't leave a toxic layer on the filter. And they maybe want some way of cleaning the collagen layer also. So does it give you some idea, James? Can it help you? I don't know.
Yes, sir. But what we thought of means the adsorbent should be made by themselves. So, in the case of calcium carbonate, they have furnace. They can just crush the eggshell and they can easily dry it and they can use for the water purification. But in the case, if we include any organic solvent or other means, they have to buy some chemical and it needs some help for a layman. So we are thought of using calcium. That's why we choose calcium carbonate, because they are otherwise they'll throw the eggshell away. The eggshell is a waste in there.
Eggshell is very low cost material because a lot of people who use boiled egg or whatever, they can make it available to you easily, isn't it?
Yes, sir. They can make their own adsorbent, sir. Just they have to ground it and they have to wash with water to remove impurities, and they can use.
So you don't think this will be of that help to you? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right. Think of other materials which are good adsorbent, and the wood of jamun, CGM. I think the scientific name. What is the name of jamun? One of you would know that, botany student. So that is a very good water cleaning, has a water cleaning property. How did we know? When there was a super cyclone long time ago in Odisha, a superintendent of police who was a honeybee network volunteer, used to read our magazine, was told by his servant when all wells had become contaminated that if you get the fallen trees of jamun and wood of that and put that in the well, the water will clean itself. So you can look at the wood of this plant, and there are some other trees of which would have property of water cleaning. So one area where you can focus is to look at the wood and see whether that will help you to.
Okay, sir. Definitely, I'll try that.
Good. So let's go forward and look at other ideas that you have. Anybody else would like to share?
So your thoughts on, atmospheric water generators?
Yes, there are air generators, as you know.
The dew point based.
They condense. They condense the water in the air. They are available, we also gave an award for that under Gyati. If you go to, let me show you that, we gave an award to them. These were PhD students, I think, or air, water, GY award.
Millipur is already there, sir. Millipur instrument is already there.
Now, let me show you these awards. There was also SPIONS. They were used for cleaning the water. We gave an award in 2009, SPIONS. And this is the award in 2009 of an indigenous atmospheric water generator. So this is.
So don't you think they're very costly? Means like they are not cheaper because the water.
Well, anything in the beginning will be costly. This is from IICT. Anybody from IICT? Not here. This is a CSIR IICT. Anybody?
Yes,
is
sir.
there anybody? CSIR IICT.
Yeah, yes, sir. This is Aruna Jangam. We are from IICT, CSR IICT.
So you know these students that
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We know. Yeah.
So my suggestion is, when there's a question like this, you should speak up and say, in my lab, somebody has done that work.
Yes,
I'll be telling it, you get my point.
Yes,
Because
sir.
we gave an award to this girl. And I would like you to highlight this work, because this helps us to learn about what good work is going on among it. So my suggestion would be, we can either invite her for a 10-minute presentation, if you are interested, or we can ask her to send a PPT of her work. Can you do that?
Sure.
What's your name?
Yeah, sure, sir. She's my friend only, so definitely I'll.
Good. Tell her that I remembered her in the class and
Yes,
told
sir,
the
sure.
entire class of ACSIR student today about her work. She should be happy about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm happy for this. Thank
Good.
you, sir.
Good, because
Yeah,
that's
sure,
our
sir.
role. That's our role. But what I can do, friends, you can solve problems. I can make your solution visible around the world. That's what my role is. That's what the Honeybee Network does. That is what Techpedia.in does. That is what Gyati Awards do. And I can tell you that large number of Gyati awardees have got even big grant of 50 lakh. We gave only 15 lakh for 2 years to life sciences students. For non-life science students, we only give a trophy. We don't have money. But I'm sure some of you would try for other grants like SERB and so on. But once you get an award, many other agencies come to you and you get attention of the investors and so on. So think about it. Think about it. It could be very useful. So air generator, yes. Anybody else want to talk anything about water filter? Then we move to the next topic. But this is a very important problem, as you all know. We still don't have modular water filters where there is a core body of the water filter, and then there are attachments, maybe a layer of filter which can be added or subtracted depending upon the water quality. So maybe what you can do is you can design an app. You mentioned that maybe there are 5 layers. Depending upon the report of the water, you can say use layer number 3, 5, and 2, and your water will be clean. Something of that kind. Do you see what I'm saying, friends?
So,
can we develop a modular solution of this kind where people can assemble what building blocks that you give, like a Lego game, Lego blocks, you give them filtering blocks. New generation water filters where core will remain constant and people will then adapt them according to the need. Yes, go ahead, please.
Professor, rainwater harvesting using limestone, zeolite, and carbon filters. Like we could have simultaneous filters.
As beautiful idea. Vivek, you should mention this. And I'll come to my limestone, because limestone is one of the traditional material that was used in the tankas, as they call it, underground rainwater storage tank. So it keeps water clean for longer period. It doesn't allow microbial growth to take place in the water, even when it is covered with concrete or stones, and it's preserved for months together, for 6 months, 8 months.
Professor Anil, actually we do. Actually, we are. I come from an area, Rayalaseema, which is abundant in limestone. Actually, so the water I heard that if it is stored in limestone, it become alkaline, and the alkaline water we can drink. Like
Actually, alkaline water is better for us
Okay.
because our body produces acids.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, the clay, if you take the water not from fridge, but from a pot, earthen pot, which I do, you get alkaline because a clay makes it alkaline slightly, you know, because clay has those elements, minerals. So alkaline water is good for our health.
Okay.
Anybody from CDRI here?
I'm not from that background. I'm from mechanical, so I just
Doesn't matter,
understand.
but I'm telling you what you have mentioned is a very good point.
Okay.
And somebody from CDRI is there? Or triple IM? Nagma?
I'm from CSIO. Sorry for that.
No, CS. I'm saying what I mean is that those who are working in the biological labs can complement your point. Why alkaline water could be very helpful for the health. That's what I was hoping that somebody in the class will mention that, will elaborate on that. But doesn't matter. The point is very clear that this is a well-established scientific fact that the alkaline water is good because our body produces acid. You know, acidity problem, when all of us suffer at some time or the other from acidity problem. And one good solution is when we take soda, what is it? It's alkaline water, isn't it? So alkaline water will be useful. It's a good point. So Vivek, you mentioned something very interesting on the chat. Can you speak up?
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Sir, this thing I saw when I went for a field visit near Contamination University, in which a local person was suggesting that the root of mangroves could desalinate water. Actually, I'm not very much sure about this. So when
but this is a damn good idea. You know that mangroves are very effective filters. Very effective filters. So this is a damn good idea. And I would like you to make a group and work on this because this is a damn good idea. Who told you that?
Sir, this I got from a local person when we went for a field visit. When we went to see the mangroves, a local boatman only talked.
Do you remember the name of the person?
I correctly don't remember, sir, but he was working in the Untitled University, so I can get that name.
I will show you just now. I will show you something just now. This is a damn good idea. You know, don't ignore this idea. This is a gem of an idea. Look at this. Look at this. Mangrove water filters. So much work has been done, you know, for water treatment. And they are very good. Mangroves and seagrass, they absorb excess nutrient from runoff, trap sediment, and so on and so forth. And look at this novel water filtration of saline water in outermost layer by using mangrove, 2016 paper. Facultative halophytes and Brigadia is known for its special ultrafiltration system that can filter approximately 90% of sodium ions. Can you imagine? So mangrove roots inspire synthetic tree water purifier, mangrove biomimicry for desalination of water. There's so many papers, as you can see on the screen, that I'm showing you. Novel water filtration for saline, capillary-driven desalination in mangroves. So I would suggest that this is an area worth working on. We can screen different mangroves. Somebody from coastal area here, there are many students from ACSIR22 and others, electrochemical and other institute. Vivek, can you make a group on that?
Sir, I will try, sir.
Put on the chat that you need different kinds of mangrove samples. What is your background, Vivek? NGRI?
Geology background, sir. I'm from NGRI, sir, so geology background.
So you know that in the soils around the mangrove, there are grasses which can grow because the mangroves are able to remove salts, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, and mangroves are also the spawning point for fishes.
Yes, sir.
So fishes come to lay their eggs, and it might be a good idea to catch some fisheries people because they will tell you why they come there, because they also get clean water.
Sure, sir.
For the young fishlings. So Sankar has offered, please put down your number, and Sankar is willing to join you, and many others will join. Just put on the chat your request. You know, this is the power of collaborative problem solving. I'm so happy that we are able to induce that across the lab. Real power of CSIR is when people work across the lab. And you will agree with me that today we are not enough of that. Isn't it true? Do you agree with that?
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
But the real power lies, and you don't need any permission. You don't need, Priyanka has mentioned something else. Biofilm leaves can be eaten to dissolve kidney stones. Can we use them to remove calcium from water? What a good idea. You know, earlier, Manjunath, you were asking that question, I think. about calcium.
Yes, yes, correct.
This is a beautiful lead. I like it because calcium deposits are forming the salt stone, isn't it? Is that right, Priyanka?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a very good idea. I'm happy that you could link the two things so far apart, actually speaking. Manjunath, Priyanka, get in touch. Please write down on the chat.
Sure, sir.
Put down. Please make a group. So I would encourage you to make groups like this. If you really want to solve problems, we cannot remain confined to our discipline. And Aruna has also offered to join the Mangrove one. Avasti, go ahead, please.
Sir, I have a problem. I'm from CSIR so my lab is situated in Rajasthan area. Here, throughout Rajasthan, there is a problem of fluoride in drinking water.
Is the problem of?
Fluoride content in drinking water.
Yes.
Because of that, the joint problems and there will be so much of hair fall and all these problems are faced by the public. So there is a requirement for a low-cost fluoride removal from drinking water. So this is a major requirement for the people of Rajasthan, in and around Rajasthan.
Yes, you are right. Yeah, and in Bhavnagar, in Gujarat, where CSMCRI is there is also a problem of fluoride. Jamnagar is also having a problem of fluoride. This is a serious problem. And there are fluoride filters available, of course, but we should think of new materials that can be used for fluoride removal from water. So there are some there is a paper of 2021 which has reviewed various new materials that are there for absorbing fluoride. I'll just show you in a minute that paper, but it will be useful to see that. And then there are other, there is also diatomaceous earth. This is found in Kutch also, this diatomaceous earth. It's also available in Ethiopia. They're also using that earth to remove, with aluminum hydroxide treatment, they are using this for removal of fluoride. Let me show you these things that I'm talking about. So this could be another group, because obviously the filters for that will be very different. You can see here.
Yes, sir.
So let me show you this paper that I just downloaded and see. So this is a paper which has come from Greece, and they have reviewed a whole range of materials that can remove the so they're available. They're talking about activated carbon, graphene oxide, carbon nanotubes. They're combining metals and their hydroxide, as well as natural materials. So this paper may be useful to you. I can give you the link, of course, and then you can. This is the one. Please go through this paper, and this seems to be a recent review, last year's. May be helpful. So there are a lot of materials. I mean, we can combine natural materials with the synthetic materials and see. But can you make a group on that? Because this will be very useful. I put down the link of the paper. It's a PDF, so you can download and review. Yes, Rajiv and Praveen. Sorry, what was the name of the lady from CRRI, please? I forgot. I couldn't.
CERI, Central Electronics Engineering Research.
नाम बताओ ना. अवस्थी तो surname है ना, first name.
Ashwati. No, sir, my first name is Ashwati. First name is Ashwati. It's not my surname.
Okay, Ashwati. Oh, Aswati. I'm sorry. Sorry. I misread it. My mind was reading it as Avasti, but actually it is ASW. Yeah, this error happens in the mind. This is error of my brain. My wrong synapses got connected. Why was I reading? But that's a problem. It happens. Sometimes we read what is not written. I was reading it. I changed this. I may be what is called, this dyslexic. I changed the space of the letters in my mind sometime. So yes, Aswati, sorry about that. But it is a good problem, very relevant problem, very serious problem, very large scale problem. And you can even think of electrochemical treatment very low charge can help in moving the particles to ions to one side, and then maybe there is a way of separating. So we can use very low-end batteries for precipitation or for separation of the ions, very low charge. Even if there's no electricity, we should be able to work them, or using some other ionizing material, and then separation. So that will be very useful if that can be done. But I'm mentioning this because this is possible to combine your institute's knowledge along with the maybe some natural material. Rajiv, yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'm from the NGRI.
Yes.
Sir, मैं झारखंड से हूँ, and Jharkhand has a lot of water issues, contamination and low water.
Mining and other reason. Yes.
हाँ, yes, sir. और that rain water के scarcity की वजह से मतलब rain water density भी वहाँ कम है. So personally, I want to do I want to do work for the water issues in my village.
Okay.
तो विलेज में सर लास्ट कुछ सालों से माइनिंग सैंड माइनिंग की वजह से वहाँ वाटर कंटामिनेशन बढ़ गया है, एंड पीपल गेट लॉट ऑफ डिजीज लाइक डायरिया एंड लाइक टाइफाइड एंड ऑल. सो मैंने बहुत सारा रिसर्च किया कि मतलब थोड़ा रिसर्च किया कि उसमें क्या कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्या सॉर्ट आउट कर सकते हैं. तो आई फाउंड दैट कि इफ वी कलेक्ट रेन वाटर फॉर ड्रिंकिंग पर्पस, so that will be good for next few years, next years.
Of course.
So उसके लिए सर मैंने कुछ प्लान किया, लेकिन उसमें दो इश्यूज आ रहे हैं. पहला इशू ये आ रहा है सर कि इफ वी कलेक्ट द वाटर, देन वो उसमें जो बैक्टीरियल इफेक्ट आएगा उससे कैसे बचें. और दूसरा इशू ये आ रहा है कि अगर रेन वाटर है तो उसमें जो न्यूट्रिएंट्स हैं वो न्यूट्रिएंट्स कम होंगे. सो दिस टू प्रॉब्लम्स आई एम अनएबल टू सॉल्व इट. सो आई थिंक अ प्रॉपर प्लान टू कलेक्ट द वाटर and to use that rain water as a drinking water, but these two problem is coming in my project.
Well, keeping water clean, the calcium carbonate is a good solution for that. It is a time-tested solution. Just keeping a bag of calcium carbonate, small quantities of calcium carbonate, tuna in water, will keep water away from bacteria. Please remember.
I have seen some examples, sir. I have seen some example. One guy from Uttar Pradesh or somewhere, Uttarakhand, sorry. He has a pond, and his name is Panda. His YouTube video is available or somewhere. He has used some charcoal and one type of plant, like banana plant. There is a flower plant also. So he used plant, charcoal and other things, sand and all, to purify the rainwater and to purify the waste water also. तो उन्होंने बहुत अच्छे से वाटर ट्रीटमेंट किया है. तो मैंने वो देखा, बट दिस टू इशू आई एम अनएबल टू सॉल्व, दैट बैक्टीरिया इशू एंड द trace element issues. And I have some.
My suggestion is this is a simpler problem. This is a simpler problem.
Yes.
If you can store the rainwater, then keeping it safe from bacteria is very simple problem. There are many solutions available, and calcium, tuna is one of the, or calcium carbonate is one of the good solution. But there are other solutions like alum is useful for precipitation of the sediments. They will settle down. Alum is very good, and some other suggestions have come. Potassium, of course, potassium permanganate is a time-tested solution which has been used for last 100 years in our well.
Yes, sir.
So there are many solutions. Very low concentration can work on it. So I think your problem is simpler, but the
second problem is a nutrient issue.
And this is very interesting what Anirban has mentioned. The rainwater doesn't have minerals. And can we, this is a good idea, can we reverse engineer the MIT solution and get minerals from the may have filtered these minerals? Very interesting point, very interesting point. Think about it. So my suggestion is let us make a group on two groups. One is on fluoride. There are many suggestions which have come on the chat. Please, who will take initiative? Who will be the coordinating point for fluoride? Lady from CRI, Aswati. Aswati, would you take the lead? Aswati? Aswati, are you listening to me? Aswati, का आवाज नहीं आ रही है. Aswati? Are you there? Somebody can call her. I'm coming to you, Praveen, for a minute. Just a minute. Well, I think she is not there on the, she may be away somewhere. But anybody from CRI or anybody else wants to take lead in this regard of how to keep water. Yes, okay, thanks, Pramod. So one area is that you take lead, put on the chat your connect email or phone number, and then others who want to work with you on keeping water safe. So you are looking at the problem, second generation problem. That is, once you filter the water, once you have the clean water, whether from rain or other sources, how do you keep safe for longer period? That is the problem that CERI group is looking at. Another group is which will focus on removing the contaminants and creating modules of filters, layers of filter for different elements. So fluoride is one. Supposing you also have iron, then iron is another. If you have some other filter, then the third layer. So then we can have layers for different contaminants, because not every layer need to be put. Otherwise, cost increases and efficiency doesn't increase. So why do we do that? Praveen, yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am Praveen Jadhav from NCL Pune.
Yes.
Sir, sometime before you mentioned about the alkaline water, and I'm
Yes.
interested to work on this technology, alkaline water. As I know that there is a very essential need of alkaline water in society, because due to this eating habit of so many foods which is acidic in nature. So many doctors and research shows that when we control the alkalinity in our body, it will be help us to control the so many diseases, like mainly diabetes also. In diabetes also, they are saying that you should be take the alkaline food. So it's a good idea to take the alkaline water. But if you see the technology in the market now, there are so many instruments available for alkaline water. But unfortunately, it is very costly. It is not affordable for general people. It is electrolysis process they develop, and it is very, very high cost. Can you connect within right group who is working on the alkaline waters here? I would like to
The simplest way of alkaline water is if you just take a clay pot, ghada or surahi, and put water there in overnight. Check the pH of that water next day.
Okay.
You have made a progress. Okay. Now we can think of embedding that clay with which the potters make the pot with a few more minerals, and that might make it even better. But this is the first step with which you begin. And I would suggest that this will be one way, but there are other ways in which this can be done. There are obviously...
Sir, good evening.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I am Shanmugarao from CSR IMMT.
Yes.
Sir, after filtration, the water contains some disinfection, sir. We are doing photocatalysis actually by using UV irradiation. We are synthesizing metal oxide thin films, and we are using that one, sir. So
but our question is, look, in cities you have power, you can use UV, you can use different things.
Yes, sir.
But we are looking for our rural people, you know.
Yes.
Their power is not available most of the time, and we really want to use gravity system, but gravity system with good filtering materials.
Yes.
So that is our goal, and it will be useful to help develop solutions for low-cost materials, as I gave you that MIT example.
Okay.
So my suggestion will be that let us challenge ourselves to think of low-cost materials that can help to make water alkaline. So there are many ways in which people are able to do that, and it will be useful to example, the copper material. Copper is also supposed to make water slightly alkaline. There are many other ways in which water does. So can we look at low-cost materials and see how we are able to solve this problem?
Yes, sir. Actually, as you said, low-cost material, we are using some metal oxide thin films, but we can use visible light irradiation also. That is also possible.
No, but power is needed, no?
Yes. Sunlight also.
Sunlight. That is a good point. Sunlight. If sunlight can be used at least in the areas which are not mountainous, where cloud
Yes,
is
sir.
there most of the time, or northeast where cloudy weather is there. In other places, that can work, sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
But basically, different kinds of bicarbonates make the water alkaline. So we have to find natural sources of bicarbonate. And that what is going to be the key. Now, our people from IMT and other labs should be able to tell us some materials. But before we break we will break at 6:45. We have about 7 minutes. Is there anybody who has mentioned any point which will come? Anything else? Okay. So
I have a point.
Yeah, please go ahead, Manjunath.
Actually, the rainwater is also getting that nitrites and the nitrogen oxides and something, the air pollutions which have been like generating the rainwater, they are also getting polluted. Like how to take care of that particular pollution also?
Yeah, so my suggestion is twofold. And before we break, I'd like to mention this so that when you get time, please look at it up. There is a database we have of 200,000 enduring projects. I mentioned to you. It's called, hello, please switch off your mic. Please switch off your mic, dear. Please switch off. So one is using this database has, that is 110 projects on water from various labs, small colleges, big colleges, etc. And they're also, I will show you this. So my suggestion is when you get time, please use this database and submit your projects that we can upload here, your seniors project. Abstract, we need only abstract. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I just written water filter and I'm getting through adsorption. Some people are using water-based emulsion of vegetable oil and phenolic resin for enhancing the fluoride and 2,4-D removal potential of biomass. So lignocellulosic biomass has been used through alkali steam and transesterification as an alkaline water-based. This is some interesting work that is being done in different institutions on water filter. Look at that. Solar energy, of course, and so on. So there are different projects. But then there is another database we have, and I would like you to see that also. And this database is a million patents. A million patents. Please, अपना phone बंद कर लो बच्चे. Please. And this is techpedia.in/patent. And here in the abstract, if I write water series, these are abundant patents, million of them from USPTO, and they are free. All of you can use them. So they're called seawater filter. Is there? They are using centrifugal fan, a pressurized fan. There's another patent using the filter codes of different kind. Then there is another patent using some other techniques, exit code for filtering, water flavor dispenser. And these are all expired patents. So they can be used if you find something useful in them, some design. Compact water filter where they're using some materials in the water pump itself to clean it. Pet drinking water fountain, water filter, plurality of annular. So there are about 38 entries on water filter. You can look at that. If we just remove filter and I say cleaning.
Sir, screen is not visible, sir.
Not visible?
No,
Let
sir.
me do that again. Okay, sorry. Are you able to see that now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
this
sir.
is there are two parts of this database. Let me first go to the Techpedia. Techpedia is for 200,000 engineering projects that we accumulated, pulled from volunteers like you, from different institutions, IITs, and so on, and other small colleges, and you can access them. That is one. Second is techpedia.in/patent, which has a million abundant patent of US. And we can search here and then find out anybody who's using water filter, water cleaning, water contamination, different terms will have to be used. So there are some cleaners in turbines, water cleaner in water tank, They're using oxidation reduction alloy for filtering of the chlorine and other hazardous materials. There are a whole range of cleaning systems, rainwater tank cleaning system. Just now we were talking about rainwater cleaning system. So they have used some different methods. Now you can you can review them, whichever you like them. You can download the full patent from the USPTO. The number is same given here. Same number will give you. So then you can check and get. So just as I mentioned, water filter, and then I get another. The water cleaning gave us 10 patents. Water filter will give us. Of course, this is not a problem of US, so therefore there will not be too many technologies, but there are solutions available. There are solutions available which you can use free. There are 55 entries on water filter. And these, please switch off. Please switch off. Please switch off. Please switch off. Iska mic check karo. Please tell her. Please switch off. Yeah. So these are all patents which were abundant because the fees was not paid. So there are, of course, UV-based system, multi-stage water filtration system, different kinds of their filters they have developed, and they have done it canister-based, modular multi-stage water filter. So you can look at this, and maybe there is something available here, So, or you can look at it with contamination. You can write fluoride. And you can use different words: fluoride removal, fluoride cleaning, fluoride filtering. You have to use different terms, and this will also search. And it doesn't take much time, so you can easily find it. It's still searching. That's some reason why. So this is a very simple search. It's not very sophisticated, but you can try it. And you can also go to the Techpedia, where you will find, sorry, the spelling mistake. So this will, the right-hand window will search for, there are 222 projects that look at fluoride, but I didn't mention the fluoride removal, so they are only looking at fluoride presence and salts and so on. If I write fluoride filter, you will get only filter. So I'm saying that don't search only water filter, also look at what fluoride filter, look at arsenic filter, look at bacterial filter, etc., and those might be also useful to search. So this is a simple, there are two databases that I've shared with you. One is techpedia.in, I'll write down, and the other is techpedia.in/patent. Please use these for searching, and also send us any compilation of abstracts that you may have from your lab, which you would like us to upload. We just need abstract, name of the student team, and guide name, department, contact, keywords, and that's it. So these are the two databases, open access. First one has 200,000 units of information. Second has 1 million, abundant patent of USPTO. Both are open access. You can use them easily. So we'll break here and we'll join again at 7 o'clock. All right. See you at 7 o'clock.
Hello.
Can you stop the recording, pause the recording, my dear friends in office, Yanti?
Sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, actually, I want to ask one doubt about the Google form which you have sent.
Yes, go ahead, Minal.
Sir, in that, after the unmet need, there is one, it is written as specialization. So what we have to write?
That should have come before. That specialization should have come before the unmet need, but it's a mistake. But yeah, specialization is the branch in which you are specializing. So for example, you may be working in mechanical CMERI, but your branch may be sensors, electrical sensors, it could be casting, it could be anything, different things that you are working on. So you can mention the specific branch in which you are specializing.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
Thank
all.
you.
Yeah. So we'll meet at 7.
Sir, hello.
Okay.
Sir, actually, I wanted to ask that, sir, I had already submitted this unmet needs, but I think I need to send another one. I have.
You can change, you can add a field, a separate field in the same spreadsheet, unmet need number 2 on the top, and then add in that column. Add a column, unmet need number 2. And somebody can enter even third. So if somebody wants to submit 3 unmet need, please add a column and enter in that column. You can certainly enter more than one, surely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. तो रिकॉर्डिंग को पॉज कर देना भाई. Pausing is better in future because then the whole file gets, new file will be made. Now there will be 3 files.
हाँ
Your mic is on. Jyotirmay, your mic is on.
दोनों
Jyotirmay, आपका mic बंद कर दो. Jyotirmay, Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Are you all back here? Yes, go ahead, Venkat.
Before going any further, I would like to know that there are many number of cases or many innovations, ideas that are done using various normal general sources that are available in the various fields. But yet, this water filtration is an unmet need. Why?
It's a very important question that you're asking. Why? What is your answer first? Tell me, then I'll give you my possible explanation. But I'm not sure my explanation will be completely correct. But you did try.
I even felt that that was a problem, and my statement for I gave the reason for the unmet need as a water filtration.
Correct.
Even I thought that is a major need. So I submitted my form stating that water filtration is a major problem.
Yes. But that's not enough. That's not enough.
The,
that's not enough, no?
Yeah, yes. That's not enough. Yes, sir. After seeing that many cases that you have showed recently, I have came to know that there are n number of cases, n number of developments, but yet it is a problem.
It's not an equally serious problem in every country. Some countries, for example, Bangladesh used to have a serious diarrhea problem, because of E. coli contamination after rain, and there's a lot of rain there. But they controlled it. They controlled it by having a sanitation program and maintaining clean water problem, helping people to maintain good water filtration system. And a country as poor as Bangladesh today has one of the least incidence of diarrhea because of E. coli than compared to India, for example. So we should look at the examples of those societies which have controlled this problem at a very large scale, very large. I'm not talking of European society. I'm talking of developing countries, countries poorer than us, sometimes have found amazing solutions. So I think this is a question, first of all, we should ask that why would MIT encourage a student to work on this problem and develop a low-cost solution? That is the first question to ask, isn't it? They are top lab of the world, ranked second or first sometime in different disciplines, depending upon the subject. And yet, they will work on a problem which is not a USA problem, but an Indian problem or a developing country problem, and develop a very low-cost solution. Just a fine good. That's it, nothing more. Now, why don't we? What is the incentive for us missing? What is the missing incentive? One missing incentive, and let me know all of you, your views, that the guides you work with, people of my class category, the faculty, sometimes tend to perpetuate their preferred areas of work. Correct? That could be one reason. The second reason could be that they feel that whatever research that they've started, the students should feed into that research. I don't know how many of you chose the research problem yourself, as against how many of you were given the problem by a guide. How many of you chose problem yourself, not given by the guide? Just raise hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So Shriram, when you selected the problem, or Anshika or Mamita, you chose the problem and went to the guide, which you felt will guide you to on that. You were not allotted a guide. Is that right, Mamita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Anshika, in your case also, you chose the problem and then you chose the guide, not guide chose you?
So I chose the guide based on my problem.
Wonderful. It is obvious from the fact that this is a situation not very generalizable, correct? Out of how many we have here, 235, only a handful of hands are up, which indicates that my suspicion, my fear, that large number of you are given problems by the faculty and not allowed you to raise. Only 14 of you or 13 of you have raised hands. That's something that you probably cannot correct as easily as we should work on it. But this is something that bothers me, and that could be one reason why the problem of not addressing real need that you identify get addressed. The other reason could be that many of you feel that your career goals, and please correct me if I'm wrong, will be less advanced if you chose a problem that affects poor people, and though it has huge potential for making social impact. I don't know if it is true. Is that true? Is complex problem or a problem which is looking at more about less, a small part of a problem, is that more attractive than working on an applied solution? Is there a disincentive for picking up a social problem in the thesis? Anybody? Or that the peer pressure is such that each one of you, and you mind you, the MIT girl published in Nature Communication. So it is not that you cannot say that, sir, if we work on applied problems, social problems, we will not get good publication. That is not true. That is just not true. I remember one of the students from Tezpur University, Takos, and he's now in US. He developed a spectrophotometer attachable to your phone for water quality testing. Put a drop of water in a cuvette, and you will get the reading through the spectrophotometer attached to the phone. Wasn't that a good idea? We gave him a Gyati Award, Gandhi Young Technological Innovation Award, for 15 lakh. Then, of course, now he's doing postdoc, and hopefully someday he will come back and work. I don't know. But that was a creative idea. Why can't we make a spectrophotometer attachable to the phone? Better for different kinds of spectrophotometers, maybe. And that will give us the same or maybe robust value. It was, of course, for visible light that he developed. But we could think of different kinds of lights embedded in the filter, which are charged by the battery of the phone. And we have to just screen one drop after all. And we get immediate feedback whether or not we should use this water for drinking if you're traveling. So the question you have raised is very poignant and very important. And my feeling is that there are two things in human life. One is autonomy. Second is agency. Anybody can tell me the difference between the two? If I did not discuss in the first class. What is the difference between autonomy and agency? Anybody? Yes or no? You want to guess? Monal, Sanket, anybody? Yes, Priyanka, please. Priyanka, you want to guess what is the difference between autonomy and agency? Or you were hand raising for the previous question? I'm not hearing any sound. Please speak up.
Sir, in what sense you mean to ask?
What is it? See, autonomy difference do you understand from the term autonomy and agency for human beings, for scholars, for anybody?
Autonomy means we have the right to make the rules.
Yes. And what is the agency?
There will be some group of people who will.
No.
Sir,
Priyanka, you want to say something? Yes, go ahead, Prateek.
So the agency can be a facilitator for a research problem or any problem. It will be a facilitator instead of going directly. If we do it, it will be on our autonomous decision.
Agency is not in the institutional sense. Agency is an attribute of our behavior. Anirban?
So first of all, I would like to say, like, the first question you asked, like, how many labs are directly involved into this societal projects? If that's the case, because most of the labs are not, that is why this CSIR 800 or this societal thing is going on right here, because all of us know that most of the labs are not directly participating in societal projects. We are given mostly about the projects which are mostly of scientific frontier rather than what are the requirement of the mass of the local where the lab is located at first place. And secondly, I believe autonomy is when we have that freedom of making our personal decisions on which project we are going to act, and agency is uh, like what is driving us to take our projects, something like that. I'm not sure.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Let me explain. Autonomy is freedom to make decision, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Agency is willingness to use that freedom. So let us say 14 students out of you, like all of others, were as autonomous as everybody else was. They asserted their autonomy and made a choice. They wanted to use that freedom that was available to them of choosing their own guide. And they chose. And that's wonderful. And I'm happy that the institutions concerned also gave them the freedom to do that. So autonomy is freedom to make decision. Agency is willingness to use that freedom. Many of us are autonomous. Some of us have the agency to use that freedom. Many times we feel timid, we feel hesitant, we feel shy, we feel afraid that what will happen if I asserted my autonomy and try to do this in this manner. And that's not very nice. So we should, one reason why many times we don't convert the preferences that we have into projects that we want to implement is not because we are not freedom. We don't have freedom to choose our problem or choose what problem we want to work on, but we lack the agency to use that freedom and assert it. Sometimes some people will not like it. That's part of life. So therefore, try to think of how we can all use our autonomy and agency. Before I proceed to the next problem, I want to show you a small presentation. And this presentation is based on the patents that, can you see the presentation? Let me check. Not yet. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. All right. If you're able to see, I will make it full screen. So I looked at the patents. I have downloaded all the patents of CSIR. If anyone of you is interested in doing further research on these, I will be very happy to work with you and share with you the data. So we looked at how many patents were filed by CACRI, CFTRI, CLRI, CSMCRI, CMERI, IITR, NCL, NIRI, NIST, NIO, NPL, SGA. All right. And we also wanted to see how, Anirban, you have immediate question or I can complete this? You can tell me. If you want to ask, please go ahead.
Oh, sir, it was from the first donor.
Okay, okay. All right. So let me continue with this. So from 1971 to 2000, I think 16 or 17, 18, we have done this analysis. And then we saw that different labs worked at different times, then they stopped that work. So for example, CFTRI till 2007 was working. They filed about 4 patents from 2003 to 2007, and then no patent afterwards, no work afterwards. Some lab like CSMCRI have continued, but some other lab like IITR, Toxicological Research Institute, or NCL, nothing after a particular time. So this is something which gives you what is the situation. Then, of course, we do also the patent not granted, a patent not expired, renewal discontinued, so term expired, and we looked at that. What is the reason why? So I want to show you the key words in the patents of CSIR. Ultrafiltration, membrane, natural process, different kinds of fortification, electrodialysis. There is depending upon the frequency of the word, that word becomes bigger or small, as you know. This is something very simple. All of you have done that. Then we looked at term expired, how many patents over the years, and we realized that there were a lot of patents which are expired. We looked at patents for which had expired, like desalination patents had expired, purification had expired, and so on. Then we looked at Indian patents. Indian patent meaning patents granted to individuals outside of CSIR in the Indian Patent Office. And we wanted to see what is happening in the country. Then look at this. The Indian patents are not that advanced. So there are patents, there are methods, arsenic, so there's somebody doing it. They are improving the purifier, they are controlling the fluoride removal, but nothing very sophisticated, nothing very advanced. You can see that here. There are no membranes being used by the ordinary inventors. So obviously, but they are doing some affordable solutions. Now the question is, can we combine hands with the individual inventors in the country and CSIR scholars working together and saying, look, you have a good candle maybe, and I have a good mineral or a embedding material which I can embed in a candle, and your filter can become very good, maybe. So this is an analysis I can share with those of you who want to do further look at it. And if some of you are from the Policy Institute, want to do further research on how these CSIR patents are behaving, anybody interested in intellectual property right, most welcome to use the database that we have built and work on it. And we'll be very happy if you want to look at it. There are about 9,000 patents that CSIR has filed today. And of course, not all of them are functional, or many of them have expired. And my point was that all those which have expired, why don't you make them an open database of, open for anybody? Anybody can use that. And you can then provide them know-how for a small fees, depending upon which category of people are. Priyanka, did you want to say something on this? Priyanka, your hand is up. Do you want to say something? Priyanka? So maybe she has... Priyanka, you want to say something? All right, maybe you should forgot to lower down your hand, and I will do that. No problem. So, yes, Aparna? Aparna, you wanted to say something? Go ahead, please. I'm going to come to the next subject now. Yes, you wanted to say? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, I was saying that previously I had worked at CSIR IITR, and there was a particular lab that I was working in. It was an inhalation lab, and sidewise we were working on some compound which is used in non-sticking utensils that is further ingested in by humans and is found in human blood. So we did some in vitro plant germination and found that the compound is very resistant, and it was accumulating in edible parts of plants also. The study could not be published because it was shut down by the then director, and he said that this work is out of the norms of the institute. So this is actually a major problem, that when some scientist works out of the norms, it is actually very much discouraged.
Aparna, I'm first of all very sad to hear this. And because some industry may be affected, people are afraid of doing such work, but this is not good. We should be truthful. We should be loyal to the science and not to the vested interest in the country. Otherwise, the fact that you found that this toxic material was getting this material, the non-stick material, like a Teflon or something of that kind, which was used in these vessels, was getting accumulated in the edible part of the plant, shows that when you cook them, maybe in this process, it will get bioaccumulate in our body, and it will be harmful for us. So it was a very important public health study, and you have to do sometime whistleblowing, which means that we share that finding even without mentioning whose finding it is on an anonymous blog or something, and then it gets a life of its own. But knowledge must come in public domain, even if it cannot come formally
Yes,
from them.
but as a student, I cannot share the data.
I understand
Because
what
we
you're
have
saying.
already signed something that we cannot share.
I know that, but I'm just telling you, Aparna, that these are the problems for which, when you become leader of the lab, you should never let that happen. Aparna,
yes. Yes.
You should never let somebody withhold the scientific truth just to appease some industrial interest. You understand my point?
Yes.
And that too, when public health is involved, when you are talking about millions of people getting affected. And you are
there
saying
are
millions of,
papers that,
yes,
like it is found in blood. The findings are there, but not papers on what it does, like how it affects our body.
I don't know if you can share the molecule, then I can just quickly
Yeah,
find
it was perfluorooctanoic acid, which is
What is that? What is that? Can you repeat again?
PFOA, perfluorooctanoic acid.
Perfluorohexane?
Octanoic acid, sir.
Octanoic acid. Yes, this is the one. Octanoic acid. And there are publications on this.
Yes.
And its health effect. Let me look at that. So these are associated with high cholesterol, changes to liver function, reduced immune response, thyroid disease, and increased kidney and testicular cancer.
Yeah, but that time it actually when it's okay, like those people who are not cooking in non-sticking pans, if it is seeping into the water and the plants are taking it up and it is going into edible part, then it actually affects all of them who are using it or not using it.
Very good point. So let me show you this paper because, this is the kind of work. I'm happy that you raised this issue. And this is the paper on epidemiological evidence on the health effect of this PFOA. And this is a paper of 2010 published in Environmental Health Prospect. And they have found out that in industrial countries, 4 nanogram per ml drinking water per minute of exposure in the population, etc., it is not metabolized in the body. It is not lipophilic. It directly genotoxic. Animal data indicate it can cause several types of tumor and neonatal death and may have toxic effect on the immune, liver, endocrine system. Oh my God.
But it is not banned in India, I think. That time, before doing that project, we had found out that. And
see, there are many pesticides which are banned abroad and not banned in India. That is a different issue. I don't want to comment on that. But the fact is that if there is a scientific evidence that it is going in the bloodstream, and if we have other evidences which show that how small quantity of this can cause health hazards, then it is not difficult to link what our study it can cause. So no, you can say that we don't have evidence of its health effect, but earlier studies have shown that so much at less quantity, the quantity that is we are finding, the trace value that we are finding, it can cause.
I don't know what concentration the papers they have, but we found it at as low as 9 mg per ml and per liter, 90 mg per liter, and it was found
so maybe
in
9 mg per 9 ng per
9 milligram, yes, milligram per liter.
But it will be, if you reduce it to per ml, the value will come into nano maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But as you saw that even 4 ng is associated with the risk. And this is what they have done.
Talking about risk, at 9 mg per liter, it was accumulating in the
it was there in the body. Oh my God,
the legumes, and we particularly worked on radish, onions, and there were moong dal. So it was accumulating in the outer coating of the seedling.
Yeah, so as you can see, in 1 mg, if it can go up to the serum level can go up to 21 mg per ml. And this is a very serious issue because it's the animal carcinogenic, human carcinogenic. And they have done a review and shown effect on lipids, uric acid, diabetes, cardiovascular, cerebrovascular disease, and so on. And significant correlations have been found in these studies where these smaller communities have done. So it's terrible. It's terrible that such a thing was not allowed to be. I'll just share this link with you, those of you who want to read it. At least you should not be using those vessels, please. You are educated at least by this finding. And I'm, but there are occasions when this happens, and there are two ways. One is whistleblowing, where we anonymously share the data, or we ask some journalists to share without mentioning the name of the institute, but saying that some scientists have found like this, so that nobody can accuse you of leaking, but at least the society gets educated that this is a case a general finding that there is the studies have done which show that this particular compound from this kind of coating gets absorbed in the blood and cause this problem. So people may avoid using these vessels with this kind of coating. Yes, Anirban.
So another point I want to raise, like I am from a mechanical department, though I'm in Central Mechanical Engineering Laboratory. But
Yes.
parallelly, there are many other labs which are operating in chemistry or which are operating in physics or aerospace. So the another thing which I've seen, like that usually the PIs or the co-PIs are hesitant to take projects which are interdisciplinary project. I believe there is a hesitation. Like mechanical people are sticking to the projects which are into the mechanical scopes, or the chemistry people are sticking into the project which are the chemical scope but for a broader spectrum, I believe that correlation between the scientists to the attention should be given towards the taking projects which are more of interdisciplinary things. I believe that is also I've seen, which is not prevalent in the labs.
And one of the consequences of that, very major consequence, and I will tell you that you will be surprised to hear this, but since you are in CMRI, I would like you to do a small survey to disprove what I'm going to say. Almost all the farm machinery, all tractor-driven plow, tractor-driven cultivators, tractor-driven seed drills, tractor-driven, all the devices, all of them, none of them have feedback loop. They don't have any electronic feedback loop. Correct?
Yes, sir. You have taken a very crucial point. In fact, one of the systems we have, the additive manufacturing system, which is one of the very crucial technology in today's days. Like the project which has been given is a very broad project, and I believe it would have a very huge consequence over certain things. But the only problem with that entire setup was it doesn't have a feedback loop system. Now, additive manufacturing without a feedback loop system
makes no sense.
It makes no sense, right?
So
that is what I'm saying. That is a problem.
When I gave the Foundation Day lecture at CMRI a few years ago, when previous director was there from IT Delhi, I forgot his name. So I mentioned this specifically, that look, you're all mechanical engineers. Do you realize that the farmer or the driver of the tractor does not get any feedback whether seed actually dropped or not, or whether it dropped at the right depth? There is no depth sensor. There is no flow meter sensor. Flow meter is there, but flow meter sensor is not there, which is telling me whether some holes in the seed drill are clogged or not, so that some seeds are falling, some are not. None of this is getting feedback. So therefore, if there is an adjustment to be made to the hydraulic to make the pressure, to increase the pressure on the plow or reduce the pressure, I can't do that. Soil is not uniform. I need to modulate. And I'm not able to do that because there is no Indian manufacturer is doing that, because for some reason, and I was talking to somebody today, founder director of IT Hyderabad was with us today morning, and I was telling you that look, these are some fundamental flaws in our way of designing things and solving problems, and it makes a huge difference to our productivity. Because if seeds, the difference in the depth can make all the difference to the till ring. Those of you who know little biology would know that if the seeds fall a little deeper, then many tillers will not come out, and therefore the tillering will go down in a crop. When tillering goes down, the ear-bearing tillers will go down. When ear-bearing tillers go down, the total productivity will go down. Just because 1 inch or half an inch seed fell deeper than what it should have. And if I don't monitor that and keep on putting seeds at a greater depth because soil is softer in some part of the field, I'm losing productivity. The whole country is suffering, farmers suffering, and it's a simple problem to solve, as you can imagine. So CRI and other electronical research institutes and electromechanical research institutes and so on should work together. And I would strongly urge, Anirban, that while the limitation may be of the institute, don't make it the limitation of your imagination. You understand my point?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Once you realize this problem, informally seek help from your friends sitting in this class. And put this, that some of them will be able to give you a depth sensor easily. And I would very much wish if somebody develops a depth sensor, electronic depth sensor, mechanical can be easily developed. Mechanical has a problem. It may not uniformly work. The guide wheel of the sensor may or may not necessarily give you the feedback very properly. But these are mechanical systems. They can get stuck. Electronic system or laser-based system will give you exact measurement of the depth. And you put a small threshold value that if it is more than this or less than this, light should come up on the dashboard of the driver. Very simple to monitor, actually. And he knows now what to do, either lift the hydraulic or deepen the hydraulic, and then do his problem solved. So what I'm saying is, look at it from the farmer's point of view, look at it from the productivity point of view, and don't get inhibited in what the institutional constraint is. If I had followed the institutional constraint, as we will discuss in tomorrow's class, nothing would have been done. I wouldn't have been able to create so many institutions, change the way innovation environment is. 35 years ago, who did use the concept of grassroots movement? Nobody. Now I'll change the subject and come to a problem that one of you had mentioned, who it is, the 5G, effect of 5G is going to come in India, right? And I'm sure there are students from NPL. One of the students had taken last year a problem on radiation effect of the towers. But who took the problem of 5G? Please mention, speak up. 5G and biodiversity. Are you there? Should I see the sheet? Who spoke? Who mentioned this problem? Can you speak up, please? Huh? 5G. Hello? Who was the one? Let me see. I will quickly find out the name. Just a minute. I've marked these colors. So this was one I shorted. Yes, Sandeep Jana. Sandeep is there? Sandeep, are you there? From CMERI. As you were talking about just now from CMERI. Anirban, do you know him? Can you call him?
So I know him. I'm seeing if I can contact him.
Just can you contact him? Because he has mentioned a very interesting problem. The problem he has mentioned is the 5G is going to be a major change in our telecommunication system and in our internet system. Now, 5G beamers, the towers which will radiate 5G signals, seem to have effect on biodiversity. And he has raised a very poignant problem. And I would wish that some other people join him, because he may be the Punjab University system found that sparrows exposed to the cell tower radiation for 5 to 30 minutes produce disfigured eggs. This is a study, how will it affect the environment, 2020. All right. This is, I want to show you this. So this is a very, very topic, very, very relevant problem. It is a problem that the whole country is going to suffer from. And last year, just a year ago, August 13, there is a, let me share this with you. Sandeep is there. Sandeep could come. I would wish he was present, but if it's not, doesn't matter. We will still discuss this problem. So I want to pick up this unmet need, that how will it affect the environment, you know? And COVID-19 has made it very clear that all of us are dependent on this. And people were using internet for 90 hours to watch films and so on. Every time, 10 years, new web technology comes. 1G came in 1980, 2G came in 1990, 3G came in 98, 4G came in 2008, and now we are on the verge of getting 5G, which in some countries has already been deployed in 2019. We can learn from them, isn't it? It promises to be 100 times faster than 4G. But beyond speed and connectivity, it also has lower latency. Latency is any delay in communication. 1,000 times more capacity because it's expanding into new frequencies of spectrum. So this will make things go, IoT and all that. So they have mentioned about spectrum. I'll ignore this. And now we need to look at what impact it will have on the people. So how can 5G help the environment? And it is, of course, reduce energy consumption, reducing water and food wastage. All of these are bad advantages they are mentioning. What is the negative effect? First of all, these are unknown. So it's a good question to ask and do some studies. And secondly, they are talking about radiations. Even the 4G affects the birds and the eggs are just exposure of 5 to 30 minute Punjab University study changes the eggs become disformed. So naturally, when we have 5G, the effect could be very disruptive on the ecosystem. They are referring to this Punjab University system. This is referred in the international review now, that 5 to 30 minutes produce disfigured eggs. In Spain, the nesting, breeding, and roosting of birds were disturbed by microwave radiation from cell tower. Now, this is well studied. 4G is well studied. Wouldn't 5G have more effect of that kind? There'll be 70 million cell towers by 2025, just in the next 3 years. So how do we do that? And there are some suggestions on that. So I think this is a very relevant problem, but this is an interdisciplinary problem. We will need people from biological science, people who work on animal ecosystem, people who work on microbial system, people who work on human physiology, and people who work on radiation. Anybody from NPL here? National Physical Laboratory? Anybody? Anybody from NPL? No? Last cohort, we had students from NPL who looked at the effect of radiation on the people from the towers. They did a very good study. And let me see if I can quickly find that. I will show it to you. So I would wish that some of you will take care of such problems which are futuristic, which are going to affect our country. And we are not doing much about them. And this is something we should be worried about. So let me show that. Let me see if I can find. Or else I will share with you later, like tomorrow, if I can't find that study. I'm not able to locate it just now on my computer, but no, I will find out next time and give it to you, this information. Tomorrow I'll give it to you, this information. But this is very, very this is very important that we look at what 5G is going to do. This is the student. I think, let me see. Radiation. Radiation hazard. This was NPL study, I remember that. And I don't remember which was the student. Let me see if I can find that. Please, otherwise I'll give it tomorrow. This is, no, this is about masks. This is also, so I'll give it to you tomorrow. But this is a very important issue. I think I shortlisted this because it appeared to me to be very important. Well, it is not important, friend, whether we need or not. The government has already taken a decision to get 5G. And time is only there. As you must have read, government has announced it that they're going to provide it very soon, which means within few months. They are all set to do it. So if it is so, then shouldn't we know? So what they're saying is they have a rollout plan for 1,000 speed plan is already complete. This is the news of just 2 days ago. Look at that. Look at that. So it is not the question. We don't have a choice. It is already coming. Just read it. Geo reveals plan for 5G launch in India. Rollout plan for 1,000 cities is completed. Starting with 9 cities. In August itself, they are hinting to launch it this month. All right. This month.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
It's good evening, sir. Actually, I am from the CSR CMRI. I have I could not actually network issue. I could not join this meeting.
Sandeep. Yes, sorry.
Yes,
Sandeep. Yes. So your problem that you have picked up is very important, and I'm very keen that you make a group.
Sir.
You make a group of students, even the past students of this course, because I know there were students from NPL. They're not here now. So some people from NPL, some from Electronics Research Institute, some from electromechanical or electrochemical, because then you will find out some studies, and some from biosciences, so that we have good instruments, first of all, to measure radiation quickly, and then we have some studies on animal experiments at least quickly, or at least review the experience of last 4 years that it has already been there in the world. From 2019, 5G has been around. So can we look at the experience of 5G around the world and see what are the studies which have been done? So, so Nature has published a paper. Let me show you this paper, which came last year. And I would like that, Sandeep, you should read this paper. All right.
Okay, sir. So can you share?
I will share with the copy, but I'm showing it to you just now. And I want you to use the latest information. 5G mobile network and health, a state of science review of research into low-level RF fields above 6 gigahertz. And what are the findings? What are the findings? They are saying that they reviewed 107 experimental studies, various bioeffects, including genotoxicity, cell proliferation, gene expression, cell signaling, membrane function. And these studies employed they're being defensive, low quality method of exposure and control, etc., etc. And the high heating because of RF energy deposition could not be excluded from any of the result. There were epidemiological fit 31 and so on. They showed little evidence of health effect, including cancer, effect on reproduction, and other. Reviews showed no confirmed evidence that low-level RF fields above 6 gigahertz, as those by you, are hazard. That's what their conclusion is. Now, there are studies other than these, which I will show you also just now, which don't agree with this. So there are different kinds of, this is a NIH study, health risk from radio frequency radiation. And you need to look at both good and the bad study. I mean, the studies which show that there is effect and the studies which show there is no effect. And its useful thing will be that as a scholar, you will review them and find out what they are calling. This activity should qualify as scientific misconduct. Those who are claiming that there is no risk in this are not giving an unbiased report. In an appeal to European Union, 390 scientists, medical doctors asked for a moratorium on 5G deployment till scientific studies were done. But evaluation of RF radiation health risk from 5G technology is ignored. Now, mind you, 4G, we have enough evidence. Then 5G, will it be less risky? That's a question that they are asking. And they are trying to review various studies and showing that there are effects that they are finding. And they're talking about scientific, they're calling this behavior of not paying attention to this work, the critical work, as a scientific misconduct. So I'll share both these studies, read them. And you look at the politics of this, because this is something you need to realize that this is a very important issue. Let me share both these studies. One which finds no risk, because my job is to give you unbiased opinion. I will not like you to give it is your decision. You will tell me on balance what is your evidence, how do you interpret the evidence. But I've given you both the papers. One Nature paper which says there's no risk, and the NCBI paper from NIH, government source, MC, which says there is a risk. And they are saying that there's misconduct in this case when people are talking about as a no risk. So you are talking about even biodiversity, which essentially means birds and lizards and all of this. So Sandeep, I would encourage you to make a group. And are other people interested? Just put down on a chat your mail and phone number if you wish, and ask. Do you want to work on this?
So we are planning to do some other things. I am actually, we are from electrical background, so we are planning to do some UVC box, something that sanitizer box, intelligence sanitizer box, that would be very beneficial to the society actually. And this COVID situation, that we are planning, and we are we have planned actually, and we can implement it by this.
All right. My suggestion: I will not disrupt your plan, but I will only say, if you and your friends can take a critical review of literature on the subject, and make a small presentation to the class at some stage, or at least share your presentation with the class. I'm sure all of you will benefit, all of us will benefit, because
yes,
this
sir.
is a problem about which many of you may not have sufficient information, and all of us are going to use it, and all of us will be affected by it. So then we will think about, and maybe some of you know what way these radiations can be stopped. Because I had earlier something on my phone which used to, where the claim was that if you attach this device, it reduces the radiation hazard from the cell phone. Now, I don't know how scientific it is and how effective it is, but anyways, somebody gifted it to me, I let it. But I would like you to also think of the ways in which this radiation can be checked, if there is any way, either in the homes or from the phone, when I will get into 4G, 5G network. This are the towers, people who are closer to those towers. It'll be useful to know. There's no point in denying something just because it is useful. We have had many examples of this kind when things were claimed to be. Now, I want to go to some other examples. There was an example of Mupli beetle from Kerala. Could you mention this? I thought it was a very important problem. Who was the person from Kerala? Mupli beetle, which seems to people have to vacate their houses because of this problem, and they are not able to. Anybody? Do you know? Tell you which student it is. This is. Let's see. Yes, Christy Panchal. Christy Panchal is there in the class. Christy George.
Hello.
George. Christy George, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Actually, I have just filled that form for mentioning one problem.
Yes.
But I haven't just really given much thought about it.
But it is affecting a lot of people, thousands of people?
Yes.
Actually, it's a large enough social problem.
Yeah, it's like after monsoon, these beetles are creating great problem, and some secretions of these beetles are very dangerous for people. So
yes,
the beetles come to the home and it invades the home like that. So people have to leave the houses and they have to go to some relatives' home and all for a while.
So what we need is some repellent which will not let this beetle enter the house, isn't it?
Yes.
And we also need to control the beetle without using toxic chemicals, but maybe some herbal insecticide or pesticide, isn't it?
We want some repellents which can be used in the household, especially
Sir, I have a solution for this.
Yes, Anup, go ahead.
Sir, garlic essential oil can be used to repel the insect. Also, we can use cumin aldehyde. That can also be used as an EIP.
These beetles are like, this is so dangerous that even the high pesticides, people are using kerosene and many things, and those are not effective to handle this. That's the level of this problem.
Sandeep, you can check on Amazon for herbicides.
Anup, can you, Anup, if you have interest in this, I mean, you could send him some samples. Sandeep, when this is happening at the current time in the monsoon season?
After when the monsoon rains are beginning, at that time this beetles attack will come.
So the time has passed, or it is still there?
Now the season is over. When the rain increases, once the rain is increasing, at that time these beetles will go for the hibernation. It will enter in a hibernation period. After that,
but is it possible to get samples of this beetle?
Yeah, it is available in plenty, but it is seasonal. It is
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, in our lab in Srishti also, we can help screen some of the herbal pesticide against it if we have the beetle around it, so that we can reproduce and capture those beetles and then test it out. That is one thing we could do. But I'm sure Anup and others could also help you to get thing. But you should have you tried boric acid, borax?
No, that we haven't tried.
So, Papa, you were saying something. You had an example. Any other idea for that?
Sir,
So
that
actually
only, sir, I was saying boric acid with, sir, atta. I miss wheat flour. Boric acid with wheat flour, sir.
I'm happy that I
lemongrass
read
oil
your mind.
also can be used.
Sir,
Huh?
thank you.
Lemongrass oil can also be used.
Lemongrass, yes, we can try that. Nagma is right.
Sir, actually, these beetles are
Abhimani,
light attracting.
Sorry?
These beetles are actually, they come when the
Lights are on.
Lights are on. So if something can be made like a fluorescent pesticide, like
or trap near the light. Do they fly? Do they fly?
Yes. This.
So then you need a waxy trap where they will stick and get caught. So for many of the flying beetle, that is a time-tested solution. And you can put some of these things that people have mentioned. So you have a wax, you coat wax or mobile oil or something on which they can get to stick. They can stick. And then if you mix either garlic essential oil or boric acid. Boric acid can also be sprayed on the path from where they entered, if they're coming by surface, if they're coming crawling, wherever the crawling insects are there. But for cockroaches also, boric acid is effective, which otherwise no pesticide is able to control. So what Papa mentioned is very interesting.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Boric acid, sir.
Boric acid could be very useful thing, and it is safe.
Cockroaches, sir. Cockroaches.
Yes, it is very safe. So one can try this. But I thought, okay, boric acid works with termite also. Said I didn't know. But it is very important. So what I suggest is, because to me this appeared to be a very important problem. It affects large number of people, and I thought I will highlight it because this seemed interesting enough. Now there's another very Jupiterian problem. All of us have to use raincoat with sweat because there is no air coming in. And one of you has mentioned, can we have some airflow in the raincoat? What kind of design we can have? I don't know whether we can have air vents covered with a flap so that water will not enter, but the air will enter. Is that something, a solution possible? I don't know. If anyone of you has any idea, please pass it on. Who has mentioned this point? It is a very practical problem, very practical problem. It's a design issue, how to get airflow inside the raincoat. And sometimes it produces a lot of heat because no flow of air. And we are going to walk from 2nd September to 8th Sikkim as a part of Japan. We are going to face this problem as well. So I thought I'll flag this, which is not very important. I mean, it's not a life and death issue, but it's important enough to be mentioned. I just thought I will mention. Does that student want to say anything on this? The one who has mentioned it?
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I am Mamta from CSIR NPL, and I have a question regarding 5G.
Yes.
Sir, there is no solid evidence that 5G causes negative health effect on human or animals. Then how can I do the further study on this research? I'm highly interested in this.
I shared both links with you. One which has found the effect, one which claimed there is no effect. All right. And the conflict of interest in the first study, which was published in Nature, was not revealed properly. So what I'm saying is that it is useful for you to look at literature and find out whether this can have effect on the health. Even European Parliament discussed this problem. If it was not relevant, they wouldn't discuss. So there's a paper I'm going to share with you, Health Impact of 5G. It was done in July 21. And they are trying to say that while it will provide, now I will show it to you because look at this. This is a report of European Parliament. I'll share with you the reference. Just read what it shows. The review shows 5G lower frequency, 700 to 3,600 megahertz, limited evidence of carcinogenicity in epidemiological studies, sufficient evidence of carcinogenicity in experimental bioassay. Look at that. Sufficient evidence of reproductive developmental adverse effect in humans. Sufficient evidence. Sufficient evidence of reproductive developmental adverse effect in environmental animal, experimental animal. 5G higher frequencies, 24 to 77 gigahertz. The systematic review found no adequate studies either in human or animal. Look at that. And I'm sending you the reference. Read this report. This is a European Parliament study. It's not some study of here and there. So can we ignore this? Can we ignore all these studies? I mean, this is not by an individual who can just mention some biases or so. This is I'm sharing that on the chat. Please copy the link from here. But just look at that issues of this kind which have enormous consequence for our society. You are the future leaders of our country. You are the best talent that we have in the country. If you will not, let us say, at least, I'm not saying you should blow the whistle. You just can say, these are the things to be kept in mind. That's all. You are not saying that you should stop 5G. You're not saying we should not use 5G. You're saying reviews show, authoritative reviews, peer-reviewed reviews. I mean, these are not reviews just like that. Established good journal. And mention both the studies like Nature study, which say there's no effect, and the studies of European Parliament, which says there are effects. In experimental animals, they have found more effect because they could monitor them in controlled condition. And they found reproductive effects and other things. So my suggestion will be to, if you review, what was the name you mentioned just now? Who was that? Name?
Mamta from CSIR NPL.
NPL.
Mamta Lamba.
Mamta, please also look at the study that the previous batch from NPL had done. Send me a mail and I'll connect you to that group which had done study on radiation. Look at their data also. They had done, of course, 4G, but you are looking at 5G. And I would suggest that NPL, you may have some experimental model for 5G study, isn't it? Don't you have?
No, sir, I didn't.
You don't have in the lab?
Yes, sir.
But once it is being rolled out this month, setting up experimental conditions around the towers will not be too difficult, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you take help of IIIM and some other CDRI and CMAP and other institutions which have animal models, animal testing facilities, even National Institute of Immunology in Delhi has the best animal house, they even have monkeys. And I think this is the only lab which has monkeys, but apart from the smaller animals. So if you wish to take help of, and I used to know the previous director of Panda, but I can put you in touch with some scientists there if you don't have your own contact. But it'll be useful to take help of even biotech, DBT labs, and see whether this problem can be studied better. But this is a very important study. So I would now just, before we close, I'd like to mention 2 more points. You can reflect on them and then see. One was a CFTRI, I think, student who mentioned a strip test for quality of food item preservatives that we have. She particularly mentioned one preservative for formaldehyde. And I wouldn't know as well as you do, whosoever mentioned this. I'll take few minutes, just 2-3 minutes extra. We should really look at that problem because all of us are affected by it. Now, those who are in NCL and other labs can tell her or him what kind of reagents they can use to coat on the strip to get quick reaction. So I dip it in the food to get a feeling whether or not it has preservatives of the kind that I should not be consuming. And you can reject that food if you don't want to consume. So this is something very, very useful. We don't have such DIY solutions. I mean, as a consumer, I don't have any strip test on my table, which I can use when I buy something in the market or when I go to eat out. I don't do that. But those of you who eat out might like to carry that strip test, put it in the curry and then see if there are preservatives of that kind. And then decide not to consume if you don't want to. So this is a very good problem, very, very relevant. Is there a student is there? The one who raised this issue? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
So can you speak just one word about it quickly?
So actually, formaldehyde and the other preservatives can be easily detected in UV or fluorescence method, but we don't have any other methods like visual detection techniques easily, such that, for example, we can detect different pH in the litmus paper easily.
Yes.
But if we manipulate that technique in different sense, then we can detect these food additives.
So my suggestion is you mention on the chat and see if anybody wants to collaborate with you on this.
Hello,
If you're
sir.
really,
Hello?
yes, go ahead, Nagma.
Sir, but there are different types of preservatives.
Yes.
So it is difficult to scan that
No, but there are not
strips
too
or any
many.
other thing.
No, but if
But
go ahead.
but in food, according to they showed that according to FSSI,
Yeah.
who tested these preservatives
Yeah.
as and they show sorry, I'm unable to explain.
But just
According to
धीरे
FSSI,
बोलो.
there are certain limits of preservatives
Yes.
which is used in food, and the manufacturer showed that they use it that limits. So they
Yes.
they are already approved by FSSI.
No, my only point is that there are a lot of studies of harmful effect of preservatives on our
Yes, sir.
food. My question is, if you have the studies which show their effect, and there are many studies, as you can see, I can see that published studies, it will be useful to maybe do a review first and how they affect. There is a study of food preservatives can harm the immune system. Now imagine they have shown that toxicological results of TBHQ and others have negative effect on the immune toxicity, chronic inflammation, and they have hypersensitivity and so on and so forth. They have looked at TBHQ and PFAS. Those of you who deal with these chemicals know more about it than I do. But why not review these studies and then see whether we can be more educated? So my suggestion to you is the one who mentioned this, that maybe you can mention on the chat. This is a very important problem, I suppose, for all of us. Shankar, you wanted to say something, please? Shankar, did you want to say anything? All right. So my suggestion is that this is the problem that we can look at and see how a review would help. I can help you to find out more studies, but I have found many. So I'll stop here. There are some other problems like wheelchair for stairs. There are some models available, but we need a low cost. There are some examples of about machinery. And I'll stop here. There are many more examples. The sheet is shared with you. You can look at it. As some of you have promised me today that you will make your submission more sharp, please do that. Some of you want to add more unmet needs, please do that. And then if we can have a collaborative process as we did in water and few other cases, I think we are going to achieve some very solid results in this course. And we will not let the constraints of institutional dynamics affect our imagination and our concern for inclusivity. So thank you so much. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll discuss with you the journey of Honeybee Network a little bit. If you have some questions that you would like me to answer, send me a mail tonight. Any one of you want to ask any personal questions or any professional questions about our journey and how did we create this network, which has presence in 115 countries and information and ideas from all of them places, how these volunteers work together. I'll be happy to answer any question that you have. So good luck to you all. And yes, today we have had some very productive change on unmet needs. I hope this will continue and we will be motivated to further. Good night. Thank you. All the best.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And
Good night, sir.
I'm going to circulate a sheet tonight or tomorrow on traditional knowledge, but I'll send you by mail. Not to worry.
Thank you, sir.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Yes, we can stop the recording, my dear friend.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night. Good night. Good night.